Welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Courtney Piccolo, only for a few more weeks. And as you know, we start off our meeting by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, God Bless America, and the pledge will be led by Brittany Reese, followed by the invocation with District Governor nominee designate Aaron Jacobs, and visitor introductions by Amy Brillinger.
If you'll please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, light would fall. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rotarians, take a moment and think about something that happened in the last week, something that made you smile, something that made you feel blessed, something that made you happy. Take that moment and hold it in your heart and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you a room full of over 100 happy hearts today, and we reach out to you to amplify and multiply that blessing in our lives, multiply that feeling in us so that we can take that and turn it into grace and to service into our community, to live out service above self as Rotarians. And while we're in the mood for blessings, because that's the kind of God you are, we ask that you bless the food and those who prepared it. Bless our fellowship and our members. Bless this club and its mission. And most of all, bless the leadership of this club, Lord. All this in your name. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Courtney has welcomed you. Angela Merrick, guest of membership. Leo Lopez, guest of membership. Suzanne Hershey, guest of past President Dick Hershey. Christine Miller, guest of Thomas Caltagirone. Donnie Sanders, guest of Dan May. Harper Kavanowski, guest of Frank Dittenhafer.
Welcome, visitors. I hope you are enjoying a wonderful lunch and had some engaging fellowship with some outstanding community leaders and a program that both informs and inspires you. We're truly grateful to have you here with us today, and we invite you to visit us again soon. Rotarians, let's give all of our guests another warm round of applause and a welcome. And now for some announcements. The Membership Recruitment Committee meets today at 1:30 downstairs in the Mixed Grill. The YERF Board of Directors will also meet today at 1:30 in the terrace room. That's next to where you had lunch or got your lunch today. The Youth Literacy Committee meets on Friday, May 30th at 9 a.m. on Teams. The IDEA Committee meets on Monday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. on Zoom. And the Fundraising Projects Committee will meet on Wednesday, June 4th at 11 a.m. at the Country Club of York. So for those of you who have not yet heard, today is Rotarian Ken Cooper's last day with us before he permanently moves to Florida. Yes, very sad. He told me that he does plan on joining a Rotary Club down there though. And since today is Ken's last meeting, I wanted to share some fun facts that you might not know about Ken. Ken has been a member of our club for over 43 years, nearly half of his life. He is a Paul Harris Fellow +8 and a member of the Global Rotary Foundation's Bequest Society and locally the York Rotary Foundation's Legacy Society, which means he's leaving all of his money to Rotary, which is so great. Normally, I would have a picture of Ken on the screen, but if you've been to a Rotary event, you know that Ken is typically the one that's behind the camera, taking all of our Rotary pictures. Ken is also the one who set up our club's YouTube channel before YouTube was even popular. He's basically a trendsetter. And he also built our club's first website. Ken has also been on more than 20 committees over the last 43 years being a member of our club. So Ken, if you could please come forward so that I can present you with some Rotary Club of York gear that I left in my purse down there that you can always remember us down in Florida by wearing. So please come forward and don't be a stranger if you're ever up back in Pennsylvania. Please come visit us. Thank you, Ken. We miss you already. And now I invite past President Al Sykes to the podium for a PPE committee announcement. He did warn me that he has 12 pages prepared, and I said, no. Lynn has only 2 minutes scheduled. So, past President Al Sykes, the podium is yours.
You know, Courtney, I seem to remember about a year ago when our previous president alluded to the fact that there were only a couple of weeks left in his term, which was followed by loud applause. So I would have to say the sober silence is kind of a backhanded compliment. And Ken, if you're on your way to Florida, you might want to talk to Roger so he can show you how to play pickleball, because I think it's a requirement down there. Good luck. For the past 20 years, the Preserve Planet Earth Committee has been a supporter of the York County Conservation District's Envirothon. And a number of our members volunteer and help to keep score and participate in the Envirothon as well. Why do we do this? Well, the Envirothon in York is 40 years old, and we teach as many as 1,000 county students every year on grades from 3 through senior high school, and charter schools, and some homeschooled kids. They learn not only about the environment, the birds and the bees and the animals and the plants, but they learn about soil conservation and preservation and water. They also learn team building, sportsmanship, and stewardship of natural resources. The courses are mostly taught by teachers and the county and state environmental people, and with age-appropriate curriculum, which has been developed by YCCD and other state and nonprofit organizations. The year ends for each age group with a competition and demonstrations, which is done up at Rudy Park. My wife and I have been scorekeepers for a couple of years, actually quite a few years, and we kind of like to go when the 3rd and 4th graders are doing it, which, if you've seen some of the pictures, I mean, the cuteness factor is over the top. There are a couple of scholarships also that are awarded to the school districts and a couple of individuals. There are 66 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties that participate in Envirothon. There is an Envirothon organization in every one of the 50 states in the United States. And as far as I know, every school district save one in York County does participate in the York County Envirothon. And that's why we have chosen for many years to be a supporter and a participant. I mean, really, if you think about it, something that helps kids and promotes the environment, how can that be bad? So we're very proud to be able to do that. And I'm proud to give this T-shirt to President Courtney. Yeah, I'm the purveyor of T-shirts, I think. So wait till we do the biking in October. I'll still get you one. So this is for President Courtney, and this is to celebrate the completion of this year's Envirothon. Courtney, thank you.
Thank you, past President Al. And at this time, I would like to invite Dee Baker and Darren Smith, co-chairs of our club's Fundraising Projects Committee, to present to you a committee spotlight so that they can share awareness of what the Fundraising Projects Committee does, as well as give details around how their committee ties into our club's mission statement and strategic plan. Floor is yours.
I didn't get the full details of all what we were supposed to cover, but I think we're okay. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I did also want to piggyback. Ken Cooper is our Love for Community photographer. So with him leaving, we are going to greatly miss him. And as we share today, keep in mind, we need a new photographer for our September event. So if you'd like to join us in that way, you don't have to ask anybody for money. You can just show up with your camera. The Fundraising Projects Committee is part of the York Rotary Foundation. And I often joke with folks that, why do you co-chair this committee? And it's because nobody else will. But seriously, I love fundraising. I've been doing it for 34 years in the York community, and it has been a great gift in my life. I've worked with the best of the best in this community as they work to make our community better for kids, for senior citizens, and for families. So I'm honored to be part of this committee and share the co-chairing with Darren. This past year has been really rewarding. Any of you new members probably know my name because as new members come in, I send them an email inviting them, to join our fundraising committee and tell them all about it. So this may be a little reductive for them. But we've gone from 8 members to 17 this year, and so we are thrilled with that. And we'd love to have others join us that might be interested. We're tasked to coordinate 2 annual events. We support our involvement with Give Local York, but then also our September event, Love for Community. So when you hear President Courtney give out dollars for our Little League baseball club or local disaster, those funds come from the funding that we raise out of these events. Some of the past projects that these funds have raised have been our Kiwanis beautification and the dam reconstruction event, the Continental Squares beautification, and many of you will remember Khan, the police dog that we were able to purchase through this fundraising. The new strategic plan really focused our committee and really got us mobilized and invigorated to raise more. Last year, we were able to raise over $100,000 from Love for Community. And so far, we got started early this year. We have 20 sponsors and have $50,000 raised to date.
So for those of you who are new, the Love for Community event will be held this year on Monday, September 8th, here at the Country Club. And it combines a day of sports, fun, fellowship, and you can choose from many different events. We have golf, croquet, cornhole, tennis, and pickleball. So lots and lots of fun things to do. And then we wrap up the evening with a great dinner, delicious here at the club, and awards and auctions. And as Dee said, last year we raised over $100,000 just from that event. So really proud of that, what we were able to achieve. I want to give a special shout out to Fox 43 and North Industrial Chemicals. I don't know if Chris or Jeff are here, but they have been loyal sponsors, our presenting sponsors for several years in a row now. And it's so nice having their generosity over the years. I'd also like to give a shout out to Cal Weary. I don't see him either, but he has volunteered to be our MC for this year. Christoph gave some excuse about going on a honeymoon or something. So pretty lame, but he bailed out on us. So as Dee said, we have a great committee and we are working together to put together the biggest Rotary event ever. We're asking members of the could all the members of the fundraising committee please stand for applause? We want to thank you for all the things that you've done for us, the great work. Thank you very much. So for anyone interested in joining the fundraising committee, we meet once a month prior to the Wednesday meeting here at 11 a.m. at the club. So very easy for you to attend. And it's not just about the fundraising part. So if you can write emails, we need you. If you're good at organizing tasks, we need you. If you want to come out and just volunteer that day, it's a whole lot of fun. We need you, and that would be fantastic. It's also a great way to get involved with other members in a relaxed and fun way. I will say being a member of this committee has allowed me to connect with more of you than anything else I can think of possibly would have. And you get to come up here and talk. If you like doing that, please take my place and we'd be happy to have you. So being on this committee, it's truly a great way to give back, meet other members of the community. As part of securing many generous sponsorships, you have the opportunity to connect with them and get to know others and hear their stories. So to get involved in a small or big way, please reach out to Dee or myself. Look us up, come tap us on the shoulder, anything you can do. Also, the brochures are on your tables. So if you haven't been contacted from us already, please reach back out to us. September 8th, we would love your support and participation and look forward to having a great day on September 8th. Thank you so much.
So my first year, probably 12 years ago when I joined our club, I volunteered for this event and I was sitting at the registration table checking people in as they arrived. And funny story, I was terrible at remembering names and somebody walked up. I just had sat at lunch with this person previous that week. So I just did how do you spell your last name again? And she's like, SMITH. I'm like, oh, like, and then totally was busted that she figured out that I could not remember her last name at all, but so anybody can volunteer is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, just a little shout out to the fundraising committee about my experience, my first year volunteering 12 years ago. All right, at this point, I'm going to turn the podium over to JT Hand, who is going to introduce our speakers for today.
Thank you so much, President Courtney. Well, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. As a member of the Four Chaplains Board of Directors and a proud Army veteran, it really brings me great joy to introduce our speakers for today. Now, I fully realize that neither Susie Byrnes or Frank Dittenhafer really need an introduction per se. They're well known to all of us, well known throughout the community. As a former York County Commissioner and founder of the Byrnes Health Education Center, and in her words, an energetic social entrepreneur, Susie is second in likes and notoriety in York only to our beloved mascot downtown. Susie is proud of the mantle she has deservedly earned when it's said that it's hard to say no to Susie Byrnes. Enter Frank Dittenhafer. Frank knows all too well how hard it is to say no, but that's not what got him here today. From Crispus Attucks to Penn State York to Central Market and the Veterans Memorial at Dover Area High School, Frank and his firm of Murphy and Dittenhafer have left an indelible, a beautiful, truly a masterful fingerprint on our community. Of course, when Susie asked Frank to participate again, to collaborate yet again, he said yes. And we as a community are so very, very fortunate to have such remarkable and dedicated talents, such as Susie and Frank's right here amongst us. As you saw in the program, Susie and Frank will share their vision for the Four Chaplains Memorial and why Veterans Memorial Park alongside the Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden is the perfect location for this tribute to the memory of the Four Chaplains and the heroism displayed by four men of the cloth and a Navy steward on the morning of February 3rd, 1943, in the waters of the North Atlantic. Please help me welcome Susie and Frank.
I'm shorter than most people. First of all, thank you, JT, for that warm introduction. And thank you to each and every one of you for what you do for our community. In my endeavors in this community, I've had the benefit of receiving your hard work and your funds for a lot of my initiatives. Thoughts from an American soldier. I have done things that haunt me at night. I have been away from my family so that yours can be close. I have sacrificed a lot in my life so that you may live free. I have done these things because I have sworn an oath to my country, and I will live by this oath until the day I die, because I am and will always be a veteran of the United States of America. Former Judge Craig Drabillcock, a retired colonel, shared at a York County Veterans Breakfast that York Countyans take care of their veterans. Indeed, we do. We honor, we remember, and we express our gratitude to veterans and their families. For when one person serves, the whole family serves. In 2007, I reached out to Gold Star mother Cher Condor because our son Dan came home from Iraq and her son did not. And I expressed our deepest sympathy to her. And she asked me if I would help her build a healing and peace garden in memory of Martin, but also in honor of all veterans. I said, of course, and guess who I went to first? I didn't know how to create a healing and peace garden, but I knew who could. And Jeff Hines is here, and there are other, we formed this small band of board, and in 2012, we opened the Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden at Veterans Memorial Park. Fast forward to 2023, several board members of the Four Chaplains came to Cher and me and said they would like to build a new memorial to honor the Four Chaplains. So guess who I reached out to? The very first person I could think of that could help make this happen. And we formed a collaboration to create a Four Chaplains Memorial at Veterans Memorial Park. A memorial for Lieutenant Good, Lieutenant Washington, Lieutenant Fox, Lieutenant Poling. All were, of course, a rabbi, a priest, and 2 ministers. And we also are including Coast Guardsman Charles W. David Jr. from the Comanche cutter, who helped save 97. He led the rescue efforts for 97 survivors from the icy waters, who later died from pneumonia in Greenland. 902 men on board, 672 Gold Star mothers, 230 survivors. At the groundbreaking this past Memorial Day on Monday, Bill Kemmer, who is the executive director of the Four Chaplains Memorial Foundation, stated, York County's Four Chaplain Memorial captures both elements of selfless service in the 5 panels of weathered steel. The story of the Four Chaplains who were called to serve God and gave the drowning servicemen hope and inspiration, and Charles W. David Jr., who volunteered to jump into the freezing Atlantic to save others. He said, I hope others are inspired to share their talents with others and to live a life of selfless service. Phase 1 of Veterans Memorial Project is the 5-paneled memorial. Phase 2 will be enhancements to Veterans Memorial Park. Frank Dittenhafer is here, and I want to give a shout out to Harper as well for all your dedication, your expertise, and your design work.
JT, you're so right. You cannot say no to Susie. So, additionally, why I got involved in this project. Once the site was determined at Veterans Memorial Park, where we've had previous involvement with the Gold Star Healing Peace Garden and other initiatives, I too thought it was very important to emphasize the veteran in Veterans Memorial Park a little more than what maybe currently the situation is. And thirdly, the Four Chaplains story, which I'd sort of heard about being from York. But as I learned more about this story, it's an incredible national, inspiring story with a connection to York. And so the opportunity, that educational component, the possibilities of making this story more visible, more accessible in York and beyond really struck me as something that I wanted to be involved in for sure. So I will use some visual aids here. And again, I think Susie already told you, summarized the story of the Four Chaplains and Sailor Charles Walter David Jr. It's an amazing story, tragic, heroic, and there are a lot of important lessons there. There is a mural in York. There's obviously a connection to York through Rabbi Alexander Good, accomplished many things, good elementary school. There's a very impressive Four Chaplains breakfast event every year. Funds are raised for scholarships. Again, these are things I learned about. I did not know a lot about. It's quite an amazing story, quite an amazing topic. So we walked around Veterans Memorial Park looking at various sites, and the site that was chosen was immediately adjacent to the Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden. It's a very prominent site. It's immediately next to several other memorials there. They're a little obscured. There's some overgrown landscaping, trees, but there's a Purple Heart Memorial. There's a memorial, a park memorial, and a sort of a flagpole that's sort of hidden behind some overgrown, landscaping and trees. But it had potential. And the conversation immediately went from a site for the Four Chaplains Memorial, a new memorial, but also an enhancement. That phase 2 that Susie talked about, an enhancement immediately next to the new Four Chaplains Memorial site. So here's sort of a concept plan. Just say the groundbreaking was Monday, which was a really wonderful ceremony, great speaker, as Susie noted. And there were a lot of people there after the groundbreaking for the ceremony and the service at the Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden. I mean, this is quite an amazing place out at, again, Veterans Memorial Park. The site, it's a relatively flat, kind of maybe nondescript, but very visible site, which is what appealed to us. It's maybe one tree that might have overgrown tree that has to be removed, and we will plant some new trees. But it is, again, it's supposed to be what appealed to us. It's very relatively flat. It's very visible. It's at the one end where you can't miss it. You can engage with it very easily, and it will relate to the second phases of the enhancements to the other memorials and the entry arrival point at Veterans Memorial Park. This is sort of the concept. The plan is to identify the area of the memorial with a hardscape paved area of Pennsylvania bluestone, and to have 5 steel pylons, as opposed to, say, figurative representations. We talked a lot about this, and the approach of something being very direct, very singular, very sort of strong in terms of representing the Four Chaplains, the event, the actions, 17 minutes that occurred from when the ship was torpedoed, when it went down. Something we wanted to put in very, again, very strong, identifiable context, and still have it represent and be a place for contemplation, for reflection, for inspiration. There will be benches to sit on. We also have reconnected with some of our construction colleagues who were involved in some in-kind donations at the Dover Veterans Memorial, the effort that Brad Jacobs sort of led, and we Harper and I assisted with the implementation, design and implementation of that. So companies like Real Services, ASCOM, York Excavating, Trump Landscaping, and others who we worked with there successfully have agreed to be involved in the Four Chaplains project. Again, it's an area, it's roughly 32 by I think 37. It's sort of an interesting site. Again, it'll be very visible. There will be 3 granite benches. There also will be a row of precast words that we think are very important, somewhat representative of the Four Chaplains. You know, the idea of bravery, valor, sacrifice, unity, courage, and faith. Again, it'll have a simple, but we think very meaningful palette of materials. Pennsylvania bluestone would be the paving, granite curbing around the edge, the precast concrete with the letters in. There'll be a gravel pathway coming up to the memorial area that will continue in phase 2, granite benches, and probably most importantly, the 5 steel panels. They're proposed to be pre-weathered Core 10 steel panels. And we have been working with really master metal crafter Patrick Sells, who some of you might know, on all of the details about these metal panels. They are 5 feet wide, 7 feet high. They're 1/4 inch thick per layer. There might be 2 layers on each side. It's about a 4-inch thick sandwich. There's a etching process. There's also a layering process and then a protective epoxy coating that will go on everything. There are 5 panels for the Four Chaplains and Charles Walter David Jr. The panels will have a bronze medallion on the one side of each of the 5 people, and a name symbolic of their religion, and a brief narrative. And again, this sort of is the detailing of it. And there's a small amount of copy for each one that is sort of the essence of who they are. It's not a biography, but there's an interesting comment about from, I think it was Rabbi Good's mother, made a comment how his sense of humor and how he volunteered, to be in the armed forces. So the other side, there is no front or back. The other side of the 5 panels will tell the story. There are 5 panels. The central panel will sort of have a brief narrative of the Four Chaplains story. And then there are 4 pictorial panels, which will be a combination of etched or layered Core 10 steel and possibly stainless steel. We're getting samples made. And the connection between, this is a 4-inch thick sandwich of Core 10 with Core 10 on the sides. There will be sort of a bolted pattern above the top. It sort of alludes to, naval ships, warships. Again, the 4 themes that will be represented, obviously one is the ship. This is a large, transport ship, the Dorchester. There will be a panel about the 4 chaplains giving up their life jackets as the ship was sinking in that 17-minute period. Again, the central panel will tell the story. I should say the central panel, the other side, Rabbi Good will be the center panel on the other side. There'll be a panel that is about the lifeboats, and there will be a panel illustrating the arm in arm, the 4 chaplains arm in arm, praying and singing with, who was left, on the ship. Again, it is to be a very powerful, visible place for individuals, groups to come, spend some time together individually, and go up and touch the panels. That's okay. And walk around it. It again, I think will, the hope is that there is a strong, educational component to this, because the story, again, is quite amazing with a strong connection to York. So with that, I will turn it back to Susie to talk about that phase 3 education component.
Thank you. Phase 3, we want to take this to the students. We want to have them come visit Veterans Memorial Park. We want to educate them on the service and sacrifices that people in the armed forces and their families go through so that we can live free. At this time, I have some thank yous that I need to share with everyone. First of all, thank you to the collaboration that helped make this happen. The Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden Board, the City of York and Tom Landis and Jeff Shue, who wrote a $250,000 grant for us that we are patiently waiting to hear about from C.S. Davidson. No, wait, Jeff Shue is with C.S. Davidson, but he wrote the grant for us. The York City Parks Conservancy and Jim Gross and his leadership, and also Eric Menzer for his leadership. And the Four Chaplains Board, Jody Keller, a former member, and Nathan Leitner. Our campaign goal is $900,000. And thanks to a lot of you here in the room, we are almost at $600,000. That is why we were able to break ground on Monday, because $400,000 will be dedicated to this beautiful, inspiring memorial. A huge thank you to those that have given over $25,000, and they will be permanently recognized. JLS Automation, Wellspan, the J. William Wareheim Foundation, the Powder Mill Foundation, the Art and Lee Gladfelder Foundation, Gladfelder Insurance Group, the Kinsley Family Foundation, Chandra and Lou Appel, Dan and Tiffany Digert, York City Parks Conservancy, and the York Water Company. And of course, all the companies that, that Frank mentioned who are doing all the in-kind for us as well. So if any of you have any in-kind businesses, you know, you heard Frank, you know, the details of how this will be made. If any of you want to get involved, please let us know. The groundbreaking was Memorial Day 2025. The dedication will be Memorial Day 2026. Questions? No, yes. Great question. The Gold Star Garden, we do a run every year on Memorial Day to raise funds for maintenance of the Gold Star Garden. So we will partner with the City of York to maintain this area. Yes.
First, thank you very, very much for what you've done here. I had the honor of serving as the president of the Four Chaplains Board for a number of years. And during those years, we talked a lot about trying to redo the mural. A lot of concern around that. Of course, that mural was one of several murals around the city. I'm just curious, has this sort of replaced that, so to speak, in terms of our city and our county's honoring of the Four Chaplains, or is this an entirely separate matter, and is that still on the table in terms of a concern?
Good question. I really don't know that. Keep in mind, I was approached as president of the Gold Star Garden, so I don't really know what the Four Chaplains Board and those involved with that mural are. You know, they came to us. I don't know whether it's replacing it or in addition to, but I do know, unfortunately, that the building has been sold to someone else now, so I don't know what the future thoughts are. Okay, in closing, I do have something that I'd like to share with everyone. There's a book out. It's called The Immortals. It's the World War II story of 5 fearless heroes, the sinking of the Dorchester, and an awe-inspiring rescue. And it's by Stephen Collins. And I'd like to read what he says in chapter 22 about stepping forward. 2 things were responsible for saving the lives of so many of the Dorchester survivors. One was the inspiration provided by the actions and prayers of the chaplains. The other was the answer to those prayers, Charles Walter David Jr. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie and Frank, for sharing this inspiring project with us. The Four Chaplains Memorial reflects the values that we as Rotarians hold dear: service, sacrifice, and unity. We're proud to see such a meaningful tribute taking shape right here in our community and grateful for your leadership in making it happen. So Rotarians, how about another round of applause for our speakers? And as you all know, instead of giving the speakers a gift, we purchase a book and we ask them to sign the booklet and we donate it locally. This week's book will be donated to Lincoln Charter School in York City, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. Our speaker next week will be local York physician, Dr. Ed Nelson, who will tell us more about the public health conditions in Sandafa, Ethiopia, that led to our club's Sandafa Sanitation Project to build 2 bottle house latrines. Dr. Nelson has been providing medical care in York County for over 45 years as a family physician. And for decades, he has led medical trips to impoverished countries, including India, Ethiopia, Guatemala, and Iraq, bringing life-saving treatment to thousands of people. He will share insights into the public health challenges for facing Sandafa and give us a better picture of life in Sandafa and appreciation for Rotary's work throughout the world. This meeting is now adjourned.